Hello everyone, this is Anna from Our Paper Paradise, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make this beautiful spring mandala. As you can see by this design, it's a repeating pattern essentially, so we have a few elements that repeat 6 times around the mandala, and I'm going to be showing you how to make each element, and then we'll assemble it in the end. So let's get started. I'm going to start with from the center and going outwards. So to start with, we need this centerpiece that is the eye of the flower. For that, we need the yellow strip. I'm going to place it in the quilling tool, and we're just going to start rolling to make a tight coil. Now when we reach the end of the strip, we want to hold it tightly. Place the dab of glue there and shut it close before we remove it from the tool. There we have it. First step in the process. Next, we have the petals of the flower, and those are loose coils that we are going to turn into teardrops. For that, we're going to start with a white strip, slide it, start curling. This time though, we're not gluing it down. We're going to take it off the tool. We're going to bring it to our template here and let it expand. As usual, all the dimensions and materials needed will be listed in the description, including the size of these templates I use for the coils. So if you were wondering what material I'm using or what size is anything in this video, look in there because it will be listed. Alright, so we have one of the petals done. All the petals are done the same way, so I have already made them here. Next step is to shape the petal. For that, we are going to hold the center there and pinch one of the sides. I'm trying to put the edge of the strip at the edge of the pinched side, just to hide it. It's a habit I have. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. And what I'm doing here by moving is making sure that there's a nice distribution of coils before I pinch it. So I just hold the center and kind of rotate the outside around to make sure I have a distribution I like. So we have this central flower done. We're gonna set it aside for now. The next big item on this mandala are the lavender stems here. So I'm gonna show you how to make those. Probably the ones that will take longest to make. So we're going to take one of the purple strips. We're going to start rolling. When you reach the end, we're not going to glue it. I'm going to take it off and grab the template and let our little coil expand to the same size as the template, and then we glue it down. Hold it for a little bit. We're going to repeat these 6 more times. Now that we have made all the loose coils, we are going to shape them by pinching opposite sides. So we're going to want an eye shape. These are so small that it's a little harder to shape them. So you can do one side first and then the other, whichever works best for you. Next step on the lavender stems is the actual stem. For that, we are going to take a green strip, we're going to fold it in half. I'm going to bring in my trusty backgrounds because I'm going to have to glue these on and leave them to dry, and I don't want them to get glued to the table. So we have folded the strip in half. We are going to put string glue down the strip. Notice I'm leaving about a 1/4 inch off. I'll explain why in a second. I'm pushing the two sides together, making sure it's lined up and nicely tucked. Alright, now this little gap that I left, we're going to open it a little bit and we're going to start assembling the stem. Let me put some pins down so this doesn't curl. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue in this section here. I'm going to bring one of these guys, slide it in, and press these sides together. Oops. That's why I like doing it on the backing, so I can push it down instead of having it fall. Everything stays in place. Alright, once that one is glued there, I'm going to put a string of glue down this side and on the other side as well. And now we're going to start bringing these guys into the stem there. And when I put two of them down, I go in with the glue and put a little more glue on each of them because they are going to connect with the next one. Once everything is placed, I can go in, oops, and you have to be careful to not do that, what I just did. So you have to press them together, but gently, so they don't slide against each other and move out of place. We want them to attach to each other and to the center while staying in place. So once this all dries, we're going to curve the stem, and for that I just run the quilling tool like I was curling ribbon. You can be very delicate on this and just go over several times until you have a nice curve. But this needs to dry first, so I'm going to set it aside for now. The next step would probably be these leaves. For that, we are going to take a large strip, start curling like before, Keep it loose because we want to have it expand quite a bit, so if you tighten it too much, it won't expand like that. Then you take your template, you place this against it, make sure it's the right size, and glue it down. Now, I've already made the other 5, and we have to shape it like that. For that, we are going to start with the teardrop shape that we already know of. So we hold the center, pull it to one side, and pinch the other side. And then we have a teardrop, and then we can give it a little twist. We're going to repeat this process for all of them. If the center is moving upwards, see how this one is tucked in there and these ones are moving away, you can always place a little dab of glue in between the layers here and then pull the center back again, hold it there for a little bit, and there it is now stuck there. Alright, so those are made. I'm going to set them aside. And right now, the only things that we have left to create are these swirls. And we have 12 of those. And they're really easy to make. We start out with a strip of paper, and we're going to use the quilling tool to curl it like I've told you before. So we started the process already. Now we're going to place the strip on the tool and we're going to start rolling it. And I'm doing it very loosely because I don't want to force the paper too much. And then I let it go, and you can see how tightly it is woven right now compared to what I want. So what I'm going to do is just help it to the desired result with my fingers and gently move it around. It's a lot closer to that. You can still open it a little more. And if you make them before time and you leave them overnight or something, they will still continue to open by themselves. So if you want to have less work to do with shaping them, that would probably be the way to go. I'm gonna make another one. So now that we have all the parts made, we will need to assemble it. For that, I highly recommend a piece of corkboard and this circle template, which will be linked in the description as well, and pins. So we will start by placing the center in the middle of this grid. And shape this one before we go there. All right. Then we are going to place a little bit of glue on this yellow coil. Just place it all around, and we are going to bring these guys against it. I'm not going to put any glue in between them because if you notice here, the green stems go in between them, and then I'll place some glue there. But for now, I'm going to leave them open so that the stems can indeed go in between. And if you notice, you can use the dotted line to align your petals. That way you know exactly where they should be lined. If you need, you can put a pin on them, like where it meets the center, and one at the end, so that they stay in place while you work on the rest of the flower. When we're dealing with these sort of things, I always say use as many pins as you need, but not as much as it hinders your work. So if you put too many pins around and you need to reach in the center there, it's gonna make it harder for you. But you also need enough pins that things are not moving too much around when you're trying to create something. And don't be afraid to add glue if you need it. Alright, I'm going to reach in there and kind of push the center down so everything is on the same alignment. Now that that is done, we're going to place these guys. So as you saw on the other one, they are going within the petals. What I'm going to do is put a dab of glue on each side and on the edge there. And we're going to slide them in between. Right now I'm just sliding it. I'm not paying attention where this is ending up. So we're just gonna put them where they should be in the center. We'll deal with the rest later. Make sure you're placing them all facing the same direction though, because that is important. So I'm going to remove the pins that I put at the end of the petals. The ones in the center are going to stay, but since I noticed there's a gap in between some petals more than others, I'm going to press them inwards. I hope this comes across so that the sides of the petals touch the stems of the lavender, basically making the petals a little more chubby. Now that we have that, we can worry about where these guys are hitting. Since this is a symmetrical pattern, I'm going to line the end of this guy with the red line there and place a pin here. Maybe 2 pins because it wants to move, so we need to stabilize it. and I'm gonna use the blue lines to make sure all the other lavender stems hit about the same places. So red line checked, and blue line, which would be around here, check. And I'm just going around and securing them in place. You can move your backing around to make sure you have everything in front of you. When you're working with repetitive patterns, it's always good to use this circular grid. You can download it and print it on a piece of paper. And then I put some clear packing tape over it so nothing sticks to it while I'm working. So once this design is secure where I want it, I can start going in and placing the other pieces of the design. So next step from the inside out are these curlicues. And these just glue to the inside here. You can also use tweezers if it helps you manipulate in these type spots. So I'm just gluing the bottom part of this curlicue. If you need, you can put a pin on it. I don't think it will need it though. And if you need to tighten them a little bit, you can always place your tool in there and give them a little curl. Next step, we are going to connect opposite lavender stems with this guy. And for that, let me work on this here first, so they're all the same. For that, we are placing it on this side and gluing the tip to the tip of the black there. Now this is going to be different every time we make it. On this ones, I glued the tip here to the second lavender bud there, but I might glue it to the top of the lavender on this one. It depends on how I want to do this. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it to the top. And then the other curlicue is going to come here. So we are going to do that. If you want to do it more like this one, you'll have to unstick these guys and move them a little so they are a little more open. So for this, we are just going to place a glue down here and a double glue up here. And then we will gently slide this into place like that. And if you feel like you need pins to hold this in place, go right ahead. I don't feel like I need it, so I won't. me just go around the design doing the same thing. And as you work, press things down to make sure everything is in the same level. Lastly, we are going to place these little guys, and they are going on this side of the stems. So for that, we've already curled them this way, but if you notice, the stem has a curve the other way. So we're just going to give them a little help by curving them a little the other way. That way they will stick better on that side. Oops. Maybe you should wait for the other part to dry. So for that, we're just placing a little bit of glue and gently placing this against the stem there. Be careful not to undo the work you had just done with the leaves. You can always go in and kind of shape things better if they're not looking right to you. I just like the curlicues to be a little more inside the circle. And there you have it. You wait for everything to dry out completely. If there's any spot that is coming apart or you think needs a little more glue, go in and place some glue in there. Let it dry completely, and then you have a beautiful spring mandala. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing. And if you want to learn more about quilling, please consider joining my Patreon. I'll see you next time. Bye!